اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're all doing well, inshallah. Today, inshallah, we're going to speak about a verse from the 9th juz of the Quran al-Kareem. The 9th juz. In Surah Al-Anfal, in the 9th juz, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَأَصْلِحُوا ذَاتَ بَيْنِكُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and fear Allah. وَأَصْلِحُوا ذَاتَ بَيْنِكُمْ, and rectify between yourselves. Now, what does this mean? The first part is فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهِ. That means fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be careful. Don't upset Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't do things that will make Allah angry. Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means know that Allah sees you, hears you, and knows everything about you all the time. There's never a time when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't know what you're doing, can't see what you're doing, and can't hear what you're doing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hears you, Allah sees you, and Allah knows everything about you, even when other people around you may not know. So sometimes, for example, if there's a tough person in the area, everybody's scared of that tough person. But when are they scared of that tough person? When he's around. When he's there in front of him, in front of them, they get scared. But if he's up there, if he is in his own house, and he's gone on holiday, then nobody's scared. Whereas Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows everything about us, He sees us, and He hears us all the time. So how much should we fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We should fear Him all the time. We should be careful of Him all the time. Careful of not upsetting Him. Careful of not making Him angry. Because we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the one we love so much, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one we love so much, we should also be scared of Him. We should also be scared of upsetting Him. For example, we really love our parents, don't we? Yes, we love our parents, but are we scared of our parents? Or do we fear our parents? Yes, we do, because we don't want to upset them. We're scared that we shouldn't upset them. We fear them because we don't want to upset them and make them angry. We want to always keep them cheerful and happy all the time. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهِ. Fear Allah. Fear Allah means always do things Allah wants you to do. Always keep away from things Allah doesn't want you to do. There's certain things that Allah doesn't want you to say. There's certain places Allah doesn't want you to be. There's certain people Allah doesn't want you to be around. So we have to be careful all the time. So what is it that Allah doesn't want us to say? Allah doesn't want us to be rude when we speak, unpolite when we speak, mean and horrible when we speak. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want us in certain places where people are not doing good things. Places where people are, for example, stealing, robbing, hurting other people. We shouldn't be in those places. And also places where people watch and hear and listen to naughty things and wrong things. And also, we shouldn't be around people who are not a good influence. They are bad in their behavior, in their manners, in what they do. We should always keep good company. So Allah said, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهِ. Fear Allah. Be worried about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you may upset Him. We should never upset Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to always keep this in our mind. I have to fear Allah. The scholars have said, one of the ways of fearing Allah is, before we do anything or before we say anything, we should say to ourselves, is this something that will please Allah, or is this something that will upset Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If it's something that will please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, go ahead and do it. If it's something that's going to upset Allah and make Allah angry, then please don't do it. Move away from it. Even though it might be so tempting, just think, it's not worth it. Because if Allah is going to get upset with me, it's not worth doing. Move away and do something else. And guess what? for you moving away and doing something else, even for that, Allah will love you even more and Allah will reward you even more. So that's the first thing Allah says here. فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهِ. Number 2, وَأَصْلِحُوا ذَاتَ بَيْنِكُمْ. Allah said, and sort out the differences between yourselves. Rectify your affairs between yourselves. What does that mean, Shaykh Aslam? Rectify the affairs between yourselves. Okay, we're all human beings. And sometimes we get upset with each other. And that's because we're human beings. So a lot of times we love each other, we're kind to each other, we're polite and nice to each other. But sometimes we all get upset with each other for some reason or the other. Sometimes kids get upset with each other. Sometimes adults get upset with each other. Sometimes adults get upset with kids and kids get upset with adults. Right? We're all human beings. Sometimes we do get really upset with each other. I don't want to know you. I don't want to be your friend. Go away. Don't be mean to me. Right? We all get upset with each other. And that's what happens in life. But what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? Allah knows that we will get upset with each other. And Allah says, وَأَصْلِحُوا ذَاتَ بَيْنِكُمْ. When you get upset with each other, sort it out. Don't leave each other on bad terms. Don't turn away from each other. Don't disconnect from each other. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لا تدابروا ولا تباغضوا. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, don't walk away from each other as if you don't want to ever meet again. That's not nice. He said, ولا تباغضوا. And don't start to hate each other so much. So what should we do? If somebody said something wrong to us or done something wrong to us, you should speak to them and say, there was something I need to speak to you about. The person might say, okay. There's something you said to me and that upset me. And maybe the person will say, oh, I'm really sorry. I didn't realize that would upset you. And then you say, never mind. Don't do it again. And you sort it out. Also, somebody might have hurt you in the playground. Right? Don't break off from them forever. Make sure you tell your teacher, and your teacher will say, okay, apologize to each other and become friends again. So when something happens between us, we should apologize to each other and become friends again. We shouldn't apologize to each other and say, okay, I've apologized now, I don't want to know you ever again. No, we shouldn't be like that. We should always try to make up with our friends, make up with our relatives, make up with all of the people that we know, so we stay well connected. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us, that we don't break up. I'll give you an example. If somebody has a cut on their hand, a big cut, and blood's coming out of it, lots of blood's coming out, what should they do? Go inside, tell their mommy, daddy, and mommy, daddy cleans it up with a wipe and puts a plaster on it so the wound comes together. Imagine that wound was left, that injury was left. What's going to happen? It's going to become bigger and bigger, and it will become infected. Germs will go inside it, and that person could get seriously ill. This is why we have to clean it off with clean wipes. And all the blood, we need to clean it off or put it under cold water. Also, when there's a wound between two people get upset with each other. They get angry with each other. They've had a fight or they've been naughty to each other. That's like a cut and a wound. If the situation is just left, then hatred will grow and they won't be happy with each other. So what do we need? We need to go find a third person, an adult, for them to put a plaster on our wound and say, okay, you've both done wrong, apologize to each other, say sorry to each other, and make up, be friends again. And then we come together and say, I'm sorry. The other one says, I'm sorry. Okay. Shall we go play together now? Yeah, let's go play together. And you forget all about it. And kids can do it so well. And guess what? This is one thing that kids can do better than adults. And what's that? That they can forgive and forget and carry on with life and go and play with that same person who is bullying them but apologized. But sometimes adults can't do that. This is why Allah said in the Quran, وَأَصْلِحُوا ذَاتَ بَيْنِكُمْ. Sort out your differences. Make friends again. Don't leave the wounds to become infectious and become bigger and bigger. And there's lots of verses like this in the Quran al-Kareem. In another verse, Allah said, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ أَخَوَيْكُمْ. Allah said, all of the believing people are brothers. All of them are brothers. فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ أَخَوَيْكُمْ. Allah said, rectify the affairs between your brothers. Why did Allah say rectify the affairs? Because Allah knows. When we're happy, we're happy. When we become upset, we might not want to talk to somebody again. We might not want to visit somebody again. We might not want to go to their home again. We might not even want to see them ever again. Allah said, don't do that. Okay, something's happened and it's happened. What's gone is gone. Don't cry over spilt milk. You all know that, don't you? So, if you're putting in milk into your bowl for your bowl of Cocoa Pops, now what happens? The milk, instead of going into the bowl, because you were looking the other way, ended up going on the floor. And when you look, oh my God, all of the milk is on the floor. There's no point crying over it now. So get a wipe and clean it off. Also, if problems have occurred between two people, they shouldn't carry on with the problem for the rest of their life. This is why the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, two Muslims should not ever break up for more than 3 days. No. If they're upset with each other, they cannot be upset for more than 3 days. That's the maximum. More than that, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, no Muslim should be upset with another Muslim. Why 3 days? Because it might take somebody 3 days to cool off, to forget about it, to go and do something else. When you get upset with somebody, or if somebody gets upset, what should they do? They should move away from the situation. They should say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Ask Allah for protection from the shaitan. You know, one day the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw two men, and they were arguing with each other. One of them was arguing and the other one was quiet, and he was shouting at him and maybe even swearing at him and saying all sorts to him. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was watching, and the other person was quiet. And then suddenly the second person, he started to argue back and shout and raise his voice. When the second person started to speak, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam stood up and he walked away. Later on, the second person said, Messenger of Allah, when he was arguing with me, you listened to everything. When I started arguing back with him, you walked off. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I wasn't listening to his argument. I wouldn't sit around listening to some petty arguments over some very, very small things. I wouldn't do that because that's a waste of time. What I was doing is I was watching how you were quiet and you weren't replying to him. And all the while when you were quiet and you were not speaking, I could see an angel standing beside you, defending you and speaking on your behalf. And when you started to speak, that angel disappeared. When you started to argue, that angel disappeared. So I stood up and I walked away. So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would not sit and listen to people's arguments. He was watching the angel. So if somebody starts arguing with you, stay quiet. Walk away from the situation and Allah will send an angel to you who will speak on your behalf, who will defend you. But if you start arguing too, and two people argue, the angels will disappear. The angels always help the good people, the people who don't argue back, who don't be abusive and insult and swear and say naughty things. They always have angels around them. So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that, and he told us another one. One day he saw a man who was really, really angry. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I know something, if this man said it, his anger would disappear. And what's that? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. What does that mean? I ask Allah for protection from the evil shaitan. Who is it that makes us break up from each other? Who is it that doesn't want us to be friends with each other? Who is it that wants us to walk away from each other, turn our backs to each other and hate each other and make the problem which was small, make it bigger and bigger and bigger? It's the shaitan. Allah wants us to make that small problem, that we put a plaster on it and we cover it up and we clean it away and we bury it. When you cover it with the plaster, you buried it underground so that nobody can see it. So things that are buried in the ground, can you see them? No, you walk over them. You walk over them and you don't know about them. Likewise, if a trouble has happened between you and your brother, you and your sister, you and your cousin, you and your relative, you and one of the adults in your family, and you should always sit together, have a meeting. And when you have a meeting, talk about the matter and say sorry to each other. Sometimes the two people can't come together themselves. What do they need? They need a third person coming in to be the referee in between. You know, like in a football match, there's two teams, and in the middle there's a referee who has the red card, the yellow card. Does he have a green card? I don't know, but I know he has a red card and a yellow card. A yellow card is a warning to the player, and a red card is off the pitch. Let's bring somebody else on. Okay. So sometimes the problem between two people becomes very bad. They have a fight in the playground and they don't want to sort it out themselves. And then the teacher spots them, who's on duty in the playground, says, call them over. You two, come over here. And they come over. And the teacher is in between them. The teacher asks this one, you tell me what happened. Now you tell me what happened. Okay? That was a little petty small argument. You shouldn't fight over things like this. Make up. Allah said in the Quran, إِن يُرِيدَا إِصْلَاحًا يُوَفِّقِ اللَّهُ بَيْنَهُمَا. Allah said, and if both of the parties want to sort the matter out, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will clear the matter for them by the third person who comes in between, who helps them. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told us, one of the best things that anybody can ever do is make up between two friends. If you know two friends have broken up with each other, they have fell out with each other, they don't talk to each other no more, then you should come in between and you should make up with them. How do you do that? I'll tell you. The scholars have said, you go to one of them and you say, oh, you know that friend of yours? And the other person says, yeah. That friend of yours, I met them yesterday and they were speaking so highly of you. They were saying how you're one of their best friends. This person will think, oh my God, I don't even speak to that person no more. And that person thinks, I'm still their best friend. That's kind of them. And then you go to the other person. Say, you know that friend of yours? I was with them yesterday. And they were saying how you're their best friend. Really? I broke up with that person. And they think I'm so good. So now what's happened is, you go between two people and you tell this person that person was speaking good about you. And you tell that person that this person was speaking good about you. When in reality, they might not have said anything. So what happens next is that you call them both together. And they meet each other. And guess what? When they meet each other, they love each other as if nothing happened, because you in between told both of them that they were speaking good about them. So these people who make friends between people who have broken off, who have not spoken with each other for so long, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves them the most. And the scholars have said that's one of the best actions and deeds and things that anybody can ever do, is bring two broken people together and say, never mind, make up, become friends again. And this is an instruction in the Quran al-Kareem. Allah said, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَأَصْلِحُوا ذَاتَ بَيْنِكُمْ. Rectify your affairs. If you've If you're upset with each other, that doesn't mean you stay upset with them for the rest of your life. Cool off. Have a shower, make wudu, speak to somebody else about it, try to take it off your mind, go for a walk, go for a jog, and once you cooled off, within 3 days, ring the person and say, I'm really sorry, we broke up, it was over something petty, it was over something small, but we should make up and be friends again. Say, yeah, let's be friends again. And I love kids because they can do it the best. Because if something happens between them, and mommy or daddy or teacher at school sorts it out and they say sorry to each other, then they carry on with life as if nothing ever happened before. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves people who after they've broken up, they make up. Right? We shouldn't break up in the first place, but if we end up in a breakup, remember, if you end up in a breakup, always make up and make friends. See you tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.